And I don't know why you're acting like you have not done this before. Okay, but I can tell you now, ladies and gentlemen, that if you are considering doing this, think twice, okay? Because we're about to find out legally what does this mean. Can you get into trouble? Can you get fired? Can you get fired? Or maybe just sign a warning. What does all of this look like? So, and also, of course, to understand sick leave in general. So joining us right now, we've got our attorney, Jenna Adams, joining us this afternoon from Adams and Associates. Jenna, firstly, good afternoon. It's lekker to have you back in studio.
Good afternoon, Cliff and Michaela and your listeners.
Okay. A conversation that I don't really want to have because, I kind of...
You have to change your whole thing now
100%.
after you find out the truth that comes with this.
Yeah. So to all of my previous employers, please forgive me. Okay, I'm really sorry about this. Okay, firstly, let's start with sick leave. What are the sick leave laws within South Africa? Let's start there.
Okay. So Section 22 of the Basic Conditions of Employment Act governs sick leave. In terms of this provision, employees are only entitled to 1 day of paid sick leave for every 26 days worked within that first 6 months of employment.
Okay.
The full capacity of sick leave is only available after that 6 month period.
The full capacity.
So the full cycle.
Okay,
Yes.
which is what exactly?
Okay, so in terms of the Basic Conditions of Employment Act, employees who work 5 days a week are only entitled to 30 days of paid sick leave for a 36 months cycle.
Okay.
If you work 6 days a week, that becomes 36 days of paid sick leave within a 36 month period.
Okay, so within the first 6 months, you only get one
paid
day for sick leave.
Yes, for every 26
For every
days
26 days that you've worked.
Correct.
Okay, yeah, hectic. Okay, so then what happens if an employee depletes their sick leave, and it's not 36 months done yet, right?
Yes.
What happens in those cases?
Unfortunately, then it becomes unpaid leave, which is why it's so important for employees not to fake illnesses. Because if you have depleted your sick leave too early, and I've seen this happen recently, someone was taking advantage with the holidays and then unfortunately was critically ill in hospital. That entire period is now going to be considered unpaid leave.
Wow.
Sure.
So what happens in the sense where you don't use any of your sick leaves? Do they pile up or can you cash them in?
You can't. It's not like annual leave, I'm afraid. And this is where a lot of people go wrong. Unfortunately, after that 36-month cycle, it just falls away and it starts again.
Take your sick leave, even if you're not sick, man. Like, if you know you're coming to the end.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you've lasted the year.
Take your sick leave. Because it's going to fall away in any case. Right, Jenna?
Well, you don't want to lose your job. I think that's a bit worse.
Yeah. So speaking about that, what happens if I'm faking it? What happens if I
get caught faking?
If I get caught faking taking sick leave, but I'm not actually sick?
If the employer has evidence that you lied about being ill, right? Because sick leave is for when you're incapacitated, you're too ill to work. If they have evidence that you said your back was sore and now you've been taking water slides with your kids, you can be taken to a disciplinary inquiry and the chairperson could recommend your dismissal.
Is that fraud? Can I be considered as
yes,
fraud?
You have fraudulently submitted a sick certificate or you've lied and been dishonest to your employer.
So at what point should we produce these sick certificates? Is it so early on you mentioned that you get one paid day for sick leave every 26 days working day within the first 6 month period. Must you provide a doctor's or a medical note the first time you are taking sick leave, although it's paid, or do you have to provide it only once your sick leave is approved, but it's unpaid sick leave?
Sure. So the Basic Conditions of Employment Act does attend to this. You only have to provide a sick certificate if you've been absent from work for more than 2 consecutive days. Alternatively, more than 2 occasions within an 8-week period.
Sure. But we don't get sick leave, eh?
Yeah, does freelancers get sick leaves?
Unfortunately not. Independent contractors are not considered employees in terms of the Basic Conditions of Employment Act.
Yes, so man, we need to change this system.
I don't think it's fair anymore.
Nah, it's not working. Okay, so the recent LAC Woolworths judgment, speak to me about that.
Sure. So what happened was Woolworths took a matter to the Labour of Appeal Court because their review was denied at the Labour Court level. And this judgment has brought a lot of debate in the community because it's been portrayed incorrectly. It has come down quite harshly on employers who just suspect that a doctor is giving fraudulent notes or that has been selling their certificates, right? That's no longer good enough. The employer's suspicions aren't good enough. They need to have actual evidence that the employee had knowledge and actively participated in a misconduct.
Okay. I don't want to comment on this. I'm gonna leave it there. I'm gonna leave it there because I'm not a legal expert. So let me leave it there. But now, what happens if you fall sick at work?
Sure. So you can be sent home if you've arrived for duty. Then you should be paid for that day. It depends, obviously, now what time of the day you've been ill. But if you've come to work and you've registered your attendance, that's a pay day.
Serious? So wait. So when they send you home, then okay. So I'm asking this because this is what happened to me a few times working call center. You come into work, you sign you start at 8 maybe, and then by 10, 11 o'clock, you're like, nah, man. Nah, it's not working. I really feel sick and I really feel like I must go to the doctor. Then my boss sends me home and says, go get the doctor's note. But then they say the next day or when I return back to work, I need to log it as sick leave.
Well, it's possible if you've gone home that early. But of course, if you were only sick for that one day, there wasn't an entitlement for that sick certificate because you weren't absent for more than 2 consecutive days or more than twice in an 8-week period.
So that's the only time.
I think after lunchtime, then you've arrived at work and should be paid accordingly. If you've gone home early in the morning, then that does need to become sick leave and treated as such. It will still be a paid day for you.
Come on.
What happens in the situation where your job is hectic and you've gotten sick through the job? So basically, if
Burnout.
That, or even construction, or maybe like you have sinuses or you get hurt at work, and like how does this then affect your sick leave, affect the payouts?
So that's something different. Injuries on duty, something completely different. And depending on your industry, you might be eligible for workman's compensation. So that's something separate. But if you've had burnout, then obviously a medical practitioner who's treating you for such can book you off work so that you can seek the relevant attention during that time.
I've had that a few times, actually. So obviously, again, call center. Nightmares. So what happened with me was I had migraines that I couldn't get rid of because of the computer screen all the time. So for like months and months on end, obviously, you're always looking at the computer screen. And I remember going to the doctor and I said, on the side of my head, I've got this massive migraines. And the doctor said, because of the job you do. So I've had that experience a few times. Interesting. Okay, Jenna, thank you so much. If people need some more legal advice when it comes to sick leave or anything pertaining to their job, legally speaking, how do they get hold of you and how do they ask questions?
Sure. So our number to get hold of us is 081 396 7190. Alternatively, if they want to send an email, it would be Jenna, that is spelled Jenna, at adamslegal.co.za.
And there you have it, Jenna. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
coming
Most
in,
welcome.
breaking down sick leave for us and letting us know that we do not qualify, myself and Michaela, but that's not the point of the conversation. Listen, we were live on Facebook, so go ahead and check it out on Facebook in case you missed some of the vital information that Jenna had shared. You can go ahead and you can catch this entire interview on Facebook as well. Right, you've got good news happening on top of the hour. The Brainiac will be announced on the other side of 5 o'clock before we do the top 5 around 5. How well do you know your Bible, Jenna? I know it's a spur of the moment, on the spot type of question, but honestly speaking,
I can't quote anything out of my mind.
That's fine.
I can't do that.
But are you good with like riddles, like what am I, who am I type of vibes?
Oh dear. Let's give it a shot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's go.
So this one goes like this. Against all odds, I show God's hand. In the impossible, I take a stand. What am I?
Can we go with David?
What am I, Jenna?
What?
Not who, but what?
Yeah, I also thought I was also gonna go with a who, because, I mean, how can it be a what? But then when I thought about it, I came to an answer. Which I feel like is on the right track. But if you think you know what the answer is to today's game of the day, you know what to do. Pop us that WhatsApp on 081 79 1657, and you might just be the brainiac for today. Mens weet nooit. Michaela will give you that riddle one more time. Jen is obviously thinking. It's not David. But it's a fantastic attempt though, Jenna. Fantastic attempt.
You know something about your Bible. That is good enough.
And that's all that. Do you know what I'm saying? Some people don't know anything. Well done, Jenna.
I'll take the win.
We're going to give you that riddle one more time. And to those of you watching on Facebook, pop us a WhatsApp as well on 081 79 1657.
Against all odds, I show God's hand. In the possible, I take a stand. What am I?